Launched in 1971, UNESCO's Man and the Biosphere Programme is an inter-governmental scientific program that aims to establish a scientific basis for the improvement of relationships between people and their environment. It proposes interdisciplinary research, demonstration and training in natural resources management. In 1998, UNESCO declared the Kogelberg Biosphere Reserve as South Africa's first biosphere. The region was also the 6th South African site to be inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List. Situated in the Cape Floral Kingdom, it cuts across spectacular mountain and ocean scenery, containing some of the richest plant biodiversity in the world. UNESCO's World Heritage Committee declared the 553,000 hectare Cape Floral Kingdom to be of outstanding universal significance to humanity, describing it as one of the richest areas for plants in the world. The Kogelberg Biosphere Reserve is managed by a board of volunteering directors. Chairman of the board, Johan West, explains.
What you see behind me is part of the magnificent Kogelberg Biosphere. More than 3,500 marine species are endemic to this area. This is truly one of the world's most diverse biodiversity hotspots. It is our duty to preserve this beautiful heritage, not only for South Africa but for the rest of the world. This beautiful area is also inhabited by people that's been here for many years. People that also come from disadvantaged backgrounds. It's very difficult to teach people about conservation on an empty stomach. It is therefore for us as board members very important to focus on social upliftment and environmental education. Although this is a UNESCO designated biosphere, we do not receive any funding from UNESCO. We receive funding from province and from local authorities. However, we call on you to spread the word of all the goodwill that's happening in this part of Africa, so that it can open doors for us, doors for funding and for human resources to assist us. We need you, and the people of the Kogelberg need you.
A biosphere reserve, particularly one incorporated under the auspices of UNESCO, should be a model of sustainable living. Sustainable living in the context of a marine environment means leaving sufficient organisms in the sea to reproduce at the rate that can be extracted on a continuous basis. What this means is that the coastline should be clearly demarcated into closed and open areas, occupying not more than 85% of the coastline. We do have marine protected areas around our coast, but they certainly do not reach the 15% of the coastline that is required. The problem is that they are not sufficiently protected. Examples abound of continuous poaching of abalone and crayfish in protected and specifically designated areas. And until we have the political will and the compliance structures in place to ensure sustainability of our coastline, we will continue on a path of destruction from which ultimately there is no return. If I may quote Sylvia Earle, who says that we've eaten 90% of the big fish in the sea, and that if we allow the sea to be destroyed, it will be a case of no blue, no green, and the land will suffer. Members of our Biosphere Reserve should do everything in their power to ensure that the sea is protected. We have one of the most viable coastlines around the southern tip of Africa, and to see it being destroyed on a daily basis removes much of the pleasure from living in this area. The problem is that most people do not see the destruction because it is underwater. With rhinos, people see the dead rhinos, but only the shells that wash up on the beach speak of the destruction where the abalone have been removed. The problem is that targeting any one species in an environment of this nature adds to the destruction of many other species associated with it. I've been living in this part of the world and associated with it for over 50 years, and it really hurts to see it being neglected and no effort being made to keep it safe.
We're standing here in a very good example of an apple orchard in the Biosphere Reserve, the Kogelberg Biosphere Reserve. Apple farming is a long-term operation. Sustainability is absolutely crucial. You're looking at investments for 30 plus years in whatever you put in, and it's absolutely crucial that the farmers have an environment where the sustainability is maintained. The crucial aspect of this fruit industry is the water that's used. The water in the Palmit River is the artery essentially for the whole Biosphere Reserve. Palmit River itself is still comparatively unexploited, caught it just in time, and it's being very responsibly managed, and the actual quality of water in the Palmit River in actual fact improves as it goes down the valley. Biggest challenges that we have really in terms of the environment here and in terms of the Biosphere Reserve in this part is in fact the impact of humans on the whole biosphere. The area is very close to Cape Town, and as such is a natural green lung for people living in Cape Town, and there's been a tremendous move now towards building up sort of ecotourism, nature tourism in this area. All of this takes wonderful exposure for the biodiversity that we see now up on our mountains, which are all on the sort of Table Mountain sandstone. And the natural fynbos there is absolutely stunning, and in most cases it's very well managed. The important thing over time is in actual fact to make progress, and we are making progress, slow at times, in cleaning up the aliens, which are a major threat to the actual indigenous biodiversity here. I call upon all farmers, farm workers and people living in this area, not just necessarily in the fruit industry, to respect the principles of the Biosphere Reserve, which will sustain us over the long term.